What is good, everybody? So usually I post things about my bike there, but I also have a 2007 FJ Cruiser that I've had for some time. There's a little bit I've done to it. It has Bilstein shocks and 2.5 inches lift in the rear, 2 inches flat in the front. But as I was looking online and trying to figure out a situation for some bikes that I just purchased, I ran into a dilemma and trying to figure out a bike rack that would work for my FJ. Because as you guys know, if you have one of these or a Jeep, or any kind of vehicle like a Land Rover with a spare tire in the rear also, you got to deal with the issue of having the gap and something that doesn't reach too far behind, because you obviously don't want too much pressure on that tow hitch. But I found something. I just installed it, so I can't vouch for it quite yet. But in the event that you are looking, just based off of the weight of this thing, I mean, it is heavy, just the rack alone. I found this brand, Weize, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And it fit without having the 2-inch extension for the tow hitch. And as far as I can tell, it's pretty rock solid. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of play. Actually, it has absolutely no play, because it even comes with that anti-wobble or anti-play bracket. That's that U-bolt that you see right there. Another thing about this bike rack that I like, that it came with, and again, I can't really vouch for it because I haven't put any miles on it yet, but is the fact that it has a lock. So it keeps the bike rack safe from getting stolen. And that's nice too. So I have two bikes, obviously. I think if we're just going to round up numbers, let's just say that they're 30 pounds each. They're not. They're probably around like 25 to 28 pounds each. And it looks like it's holding on sturdy for right now. Again, I haven't put on any miles. I'm soon to do so. I'm going to be doing possibly a road trip in the near future. So hence why we wanted something that was going to work. Another nice thing, before I forget to mention, is that you can pull this pin out and drop it down. I'm not sure if it's going to allow the full thing to give you the distance you need to swing this out with the bikes on. However, no, I know for a fact with the bikes on, it's not going to give you the full swing, but you will have a little bit of clearance to reach in and pull out a couple things. However, with the bikes off and the tow hitch all the way down, you can open and close the back door, no problem. It's pretty easy, pretty standard to load the bikes on and off of this thing. You do also have an option to tilt this up right, so that way you can fold it against the tire. And I really like this clearance that it has. It's almost a perfect distance too, because what I'm going to do is I got a couple of straps that I'm going to use to strap on the bike and maybe strap onto the rack or strap onto the spare tire, just for added security. In case something does happen, I don't expect there to, anything to happen, but just in case, it's always to be better safe than sorry. So I found it on Amazon. I don't remember the price off the top of my head. It was north of $150. But given, how much bike racks are, I'd say this was a pretty good option. Another thing that sold me on this was not only the way that the tires rest on this, but you also have this J-hook to keep it from moving. So again, it's really secure, and it seems like it should last a while just based off of how heavy it was. And, one thing I did that it doesn't tell you to do in the manual, or doesn't tell you not to do, is put Loctite on everything. So I always Loctite everything, and I learned that from riding my motorcycle. You got to Loctite every bolt just to make sure things don't come loose. So I Loctited everything, and I'll see if I post any other videos along the way about how this goes, how this bike rack works out. Again, I know that when I was searching and looking, it was kind of like a hard decision to pick which bike rack should I do. Should I go with a Thol, or a Kawai, or there were so many different bike racks out there. and some that needed an extension, others that didn't, but they were further pushed out. And I think right here, I want to say that there's probably give or take about maybe 10 inches to 12 inches worth of space between your bikes and the tire, just, you know, as a heads up. But things pretty solid. One thing is, if you have one of these bumpers, I know some FJs do, you will have to drop your bumper, which will cause some interference with your sensors. I do have backup sensors on this, and it will block your sensors, just as a heads up. Not that you're really going to use them anyways, because with the bike rack, I think it's at the almost in that level where it's going to start playing games with it. You will need to drop this to get into those bolts and tighten up that U-bolt. So just as a heads up, but fairly simple install. Took me around 45 minutes. So I think anybody with just a couple of tools can do this. So it only required a couple of different sockets, and everything's just bolt on. So you do have these are adjustable, obviously, so you can change the width of your bike and what have you. Don't ask me what's the distance for my bike, because I don't know what the distance are, the wheelbases are for either one of those bikes. But I mean, they're pretty standard size, you know, when it comes to length. I actually think these are pretty long. They're just, you know, kind of off to the side, not too much actually. If you wanted also just like a little view of what you're going to be looking at from the inside. All right, so obviously you're going to see the bike from the rear. I don't see any tires from that side. You will see a little bit from there. So again, the rear, just see the neck. So I think it works for me. We're gonna give it a drive around, see how it actually holds up. And I think after a couple 100 miles, I'll post a video on it. And as far as the bolt, I still got it. It didn't sell. I pulled back on the idea of selling it. It's kind of dirty right now because there's been a lot of wind over here. But I kind of stopped on the idea of selling it for now. So I still have her. I know I said I was going to do something in regards to these in the last video. I don't know if it was measurements or what have you. It is 11 inches long, just FYI. But yeah, and if anybody in the San Pedro area, Carson area, Long Beach area, Rolling Hills area is looking for a bike, I do have this bike up for sale. It's the Tarmac Pro SL. It does have a seat. I just have the seat put away. I do have the original foot pegs as well. They're just stored away because obviously I don't ride with cleats. So yeah, she's a pretty fast bike. And yeah, hit me up with some questions if you guys have any. I know as FJ owners, sometimes it can be hard to find little tiny things that might not seem all too big, but we got to help each other out when it comes to these kind of things. Well, anyways, that's it.